It's one problem when we get a lot of rain. The water just flows into the work shed. I'm not sure if it's all just through the door, or I think some of it actually comes in under the wall there and just flows down through here. That's why another reason I wanted these on wheels, apart from moving them around, but the workbench there is sitting up on pavers to keep the wooden feet off the ground. I think the only wooden thing that's on the floor is the lathe bench and this bench. So this bench is going to be getting damage on the feet. The lathe bench is fine. Today I've been tasked with the job of getting the rest of the agapanthus out of the front yard, like all of it, and the grasses that we have over on the side fence, which are in front of where we planted the yuccas. They kind of block the yuccas from view a little bit. So they're going to be going down along the driveway where the agapanthus currently are. And the other agapanthus that come down the hill, we'll remove those to make the yard a bit bigger. Here's poor little fella. I think he's dropped his tail because of Batman. Because Batman and Sam have been trying to hunt these guys. Sorry, mate. Okay, step one done. All of these agapanthus were the ones that were planted in here, so I've dug those out. I don't think I'm going to get to use all of those down the back, so I'll probably put them up and put them up for free on Facebook or something. Now I've got to get the ones that are going down the driveway so that we can then transplant these grasses down the driveway. And it's a warm day. Skittish.
Yeah, see the band around his head, the yellow band? They all have that.
Well, I saw that and I went, I don't recognise that one.
Yeah, you don't see them that often. First one I've seen for years.
Yeah.
They are around, but when I was in wires, I used to see a few.
Belly, just because his belly was a little bit orange, or
yeah. Trying to think of their name. I think it's Cacophis squamulosus, I think is the name.
Yeah. But that was what he was doing with the shovel.
Really? Oh, where'd it go?
There you go. Head off down the bush. What's up with you, mate? This fella looks like he's trying to lay his eggs, and his egg sac got stuck on the ground here. You can see some of them, and he was glued to the ground. What are we going to do with you, mate? Sunday, coffee break time. The grass is being transplanted. They're coming from over at the fence. And so I'm moving those up. I think I split that one a little bit small. I had a couple of small ones here too, so I've redone it. That one will go in just at the top. And I've still got two over there near the yuccas to come over here, and they'll probably be split, and we're only going up as far as the end, the last agave. And I've got to move the smaller agave that we've sort of offset. Going to move those up in between the gaps between those two big ones and those two big ones. And there's a lot of my agapanthus to still get rid of. Some just up on the driveway. I've had two people come and collect some. And I've had a few arguments with people on some of the local Facebook sites about the fact that they call them a noxious weed. Agapanthus are a weed. It's one of 177 plants and trees that are listed as weeds in the Blue Mountains. 118 that are on the priority weed list. on the priority weed list. There's 47, which are said to be, like, they're meant to be eradicated, removed and eradicated. There's 50, which are classified as remove and destroy. And there's another 21, which are listed as contain and manage. Agapanthus is in that list. So you're allowed to have them. But if they get out of hand, then you've got to remove them, a lot of them. There's just a lot of keyboard warriors. Some of the comments from people. One person said, burn them. I said, we're in a bushfire zone. Nobody should be burning anything. And then they went on a rant and I corrected them. Had a bit of fun over the last night. The other thing that's starting to happen right now is the bamboo is starting to shoot up. That wasn't there the other day. This one right here was not here yesterday. And we got another little visiting water skink.
Well, that's kind of stopped me a little bit, hasn't it? Jimmy. This is torrential.
Not very conducive weather for doing gardening. Oh, rain stopped, I came back out. Here's the grasses up the driveway. These top ones actually flower. Thinking of doing stairs down here. All that agapanthus is going to go. There's the yuccas and the agave just on the fence. We're thinking of moving just to sort of frame it nicely, but not sure which one. So, just got to clean up a bit. Monday, November 8th, the day. It's the day that teachers need to have been fully vaccinated by this date in order to remain employed by the department. I think the one thing I saw when they had a slight caveat on that is if somebody could show that they'd had their first dose and their second dose was booked but it just wasn't in by now, I think they were allowed, to remain employed, but I'm not sure if they had to be off-site until that second jab was completed. I don't know. Like I said, that there was those little changes and they're all the ins and outs that you really only find out about if it affects you. I just know the main effect was that, if you're not vaccinated and you don't intend to be, you will not be remaining employed as a full-time teacher. If you're a temp, your contract was going to be cancelled, terminated, and if you're a casual teacher, you're going to be put onto the do not employ list. So HSC starts tomorrow. They've made it absolutely mandatory for everybody inside the exam hall to be wearing a mask. They made a really good point, like the Premier made a really good point in an interview about it, because he said, I feel bad that the kids are going to have to sit in like a 2-3 hour exam with a mask on, and any supervisor needs to have the mask on. Like apparently they needed more supervisors for because exams needed to be split up or something like that to keep the numbers down. But there were some exam supervisors who were saying that they will resign if the mask mandate is not in, because they don't want to take the chance of having to be in a hall with 100 odd kids who don't have masks on, and you're in there for 2 to 3 hours. The principals associations of public, private and independent all agreed with that issue. Anybody who decides to try and not comply with it will be in breach of NESA exam rules, which are pretty strict and heavy to maintain the integrity of the exams. Our Premier basically said, if a student, like if everybody in the hall is wearing a mask and it turns out that somebody has been tested positive for COVID who was in that hall, by the fact that they're all wearing masks, they'd be classed as a casual contact rather than a close contact, because a close contact is anybody who's basically in an area together. But a casual contact would not need to isolate themselves and would therefore not miss out on any further exams. So that they said if a student has any sort of symptoms and feels like they need to go and get a test, if they go via their GP or something like that, they need to say, I'm a HSC student, and their test results are going to be prioritised so they know them by the next day, to try and minimise the chance that they're going to be missing out on exams, because trying to catch up on a HSC exam, I think, is pretty difficult. I think if you miss them, you have to put in an application for illness or misadventure, which means that your exam result can become based on your school-based assessment. And if you're a student who doesn't do too well in all your school-based assessment but can really kick it in the exams, your results are going to be lower. We're finding out more information about staff availability for next year, because they're trying to get out, because the casuals are really hard to come by sometimes, especially in our area. Our boss has been trying to recruit people and saying, I'll put you on a temp contract for the year, even if you're not permanently on classes. Like, we want you in the school, we'll give you one permanent class and then you can be the on-site casual. And so he's apparently found a couple of other staff, a PE person and a HISI person. I wish he'd find a TAS person. They're like rare as hen's teeth. He's getting confirmation that they're accepting today, hopefully, and that will affect HISI and PE. They're going to shuffle their allocations for me, and Life Ed's going to be doing the same, which means that I'll have to put new data into our timetable system and start the timetable up from scratch tomorrow. Actually, it was Wednesday. The boss asked if we could allow for tomorrow to finalise stuff as well, because of some of the information they've got to get today. So I'm really running behind schedule on the timetable. At this point, I'm usually running around fixing clashes and negotiating with head teachers and staff about trying to cover classes or take classes offline before and after school for seniors and all that sort of stuff. I'm nowhere near that, because I'm going to have to start again. And my previous version, which I started a week or two ago, had 54 teacher clashes that the program couldn't solve. So that's where I've got to go in and manually. That's what's happening. And I spoke for a lot longer than I thought I was going to. Okay, colour me happy. This was the first time I've been back in the workshop in 4 months. Apart from when I came down here to cut up that stuff for the deck, right back in the holidays, straight after term 2. Just had year 10, part of our COVID plan, meet them in the classroom that they're sitting in, mark the roll, tell them what we're going to do, walk them over here. They could be in the workshop here or on the seats just outside. That's considered part of my classroom. We've only got about 10 lessons left, so about 10 hours worth of work. And I just said to them, yeah, I want them to just have an experience. They've been out of the workshop for 4 months, just like me. Some of them had started projects in term 2. They were able to just continue on them. Others want to make something brand new. Let's go for it. It was a good feeling. It was good being back in the workshop, seeing the kids being active and engaging and trying stuff out and using the tools, and good feeling. Glad I did it. Glad we're back here. Glad that the restrictions are lifting slightly, lifting enough for us to be in here. So we've got, I've just packed them all up. One kid continuing with his table. The one who was trying to make a shoe has just decided that's gone. So he's going to make a stool, but he's modifying it height, and he wants to upholster the top with a cushion. So he should be able to get that done in this time. Another kid who's hardly ever been here, they've just got him back to school. He just wants to make a coat rack or something like that. It feels good. They're in here and they want to make stuff, because that's where I want to be and doing stuff. But that class is over and we've packed up and I'm going back to the staff room. Year 11 do like the little stools they're getting used. Completing cluster B, which involves a role play, which raining, which was perfect. Not. Went down in front of the trade school and do the role play down there where I could record them. They come up here, grab some tools, run back down, and it's like just a communication task. It's one that just about all the kids can get, because it's just about two people communicating. How would you make sure that everybody knows the information? We had a meeting yesterday afternoon about the construction course. It is changing. This current year 11 class can still complete the current cluster C, and then they'll be doing all the new clusters next year. And next year's year 11 will be starting with a brand new course, and they're rewriting it completely. And from the look of it, I think it's going to be a lot better. Instead of having 6 clusters, they're having 8, but there's being less information in each cluster, so they should be a little bit more achievable. We'll see. About 15 minutes ago, it was clear blue sky. And I've just come outside. It's crazy. Morning. It's Friday morning, and we actually had a working from home day yesterday, and the school was named as non-operational for Thursday because COVID's still around, and we had a student test positive. The school had to be deep cleaned as policy by the department and New South Wales Health. Thankfully, this is a good thing that masking is compulsory, and the fact that we have our cohorts separated into different areas of the school in different buildings, etc., and the students pretty much stay in the same room, the only people who are classed as a close contact for contact tracing and for true isolation, I want to say, is the other students in that person's class and teachers of that class. HSC exams are completely separated from that area of the school, and we were praised for that, because even if there'd been an exam yesterday, they said it could have gone ahead. There was no exam yesterday, but there is an exam today. It can go ahead as normal. We had a online meeting with the parents last night to tell them about, or answer questions, and to tell them that school was going to be open today. Everybody, all students, all staff were told to go home, isolate for the day. If you have any symptoms or anything, get yourself tested. Myself and all my staff got ourselves tested just as a matter of personal awareness, I guess you want to say. So I got tested on the way home on Wednesday, got my result yesterday morning, negative. Same with all my other staff, because if you hadn't tested negative or you hadn't gotten your results back, you weren't allowed back today. I think they said that close contact people, because all of us are classed as a casual contact, close contact people, I think they said even if they test negative and they're double vaxxed, they still have to stay isolated for a week. If they're not vaccinated, which could be the case with some students maybe, they have to isolate for 14 days. Parents were really pleased with the way it was handled. I said Department and New South Wales Health has told us they were really pleased with the way we have our school set up, because we did hear of another school where a student tested positive and the number of close contacts numbered 80 and ours was 14. Our model that we're using at the school is really good.